Welcome to the Smart Connector podcast. I have a wonderful guest for you tonight who's an expert on buying and selling businesses. It's Seiler Tucker. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks for having me.
It's so exciting to have you here, Michelle, because I'm very passionate about the power of buying and selling businesses, because that's what really leads to those life-changing outcomes, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And you've been doing this for a long time. This is absolutely what you do, isn't it? You are a renowned expert, and you've written a book on this topic as well, haven't you?
I've actually written 3 books, and I've been in this industry a little over 20 years, personally selling 500 companies. My firm altogether selling over 1,000.
Over 1,000 companies. That is so incredible. So you have so much wisdom and experience to offer our viewers and our listeners today. So thank you again for joining us. And I've got lots and lots of questions for you. Now, before we go on, we are live on the Smart Connector group. So if anybody wants to ask questions to Michelle live, just put them in the chat. We want to hear from you because this is a topic that interests a lot of people. So Michelle, first off, let's talk about why do people, well, let's actually talk about buying businesses first of all. Why do people buy businesses? Why do they want to buy businesses?
Well, I guess you'd have to ask the individual buyer that question, but there's 5 different types of buyers. So let's talk about the 5 types, because most people don't know there's 5 types. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, 90% of buyers are first-time buyers. They buy small businesses like coffee shops and pizzerias, dry cleaners, things of that nature. They're buying businesses because they want to get out of corporate America. They want a taste of entrepreneurship. They want a better quality of life, financial freedom. So those are first-time buyers. And then you have turnaround specialists. They buy distressed assets. And the reason they're buying businesses is because that's really their business, is to buy businesses, turn them around, fix them, and sell them for a profit. And then you have private equity groups. And these private equity groups, typically buy based on platforms and add-ons. Platforms, or let's say they want to get into manufacturing, food manufacturing. They won't even look at a food manufacturing for less than $3 million in EBITDA. EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. But if they're smaller companies, if they're already if they already have that platform, and they're smaller businesses that want to be acquired, then the private equity groups will buy those smaller businesses under $1 million in EBITDA. And then you have strategics and competitors. They buy other companies because they're growing their business through acquisitions, or growing through acquisitions instead of growing organically. And they're buying synergies that will help catapult the business to the next level. Synergies such as trademarks, patents, contracts, databases, people, talent, distribution. And then there's the last type of buyer, and I call them storm chasers. They're industry agnostic. They're serial entrepreneurs, sophisticated buyers, and they chase EBITDA.
Okay, so EBITDA is something that will mean a lot to some people, and I know that you did actually clarify what that meant. But if you wouldn't mind just going through that EBITDA, and because that's a formula for evaluating the value of businesses, isn't it?
Well, it's not really the formula. There's lots of formulas. There's 6 different methods, 6 different formulas we use. Okay. But EBITDA is the term. So businesses are calculated on either gross revenue, and they're typically calculated a percentage of. The only industry that's ever calculated a multiple of revenue is usually SaaS companies. Those are software companies. The rest of the companies, small little businesses like coffee shops and pizzerias and things, are typically a multiple of SDE, which are sellers' discretionary earnings. EBITDA is when we add back depreciation, we add back interest, we add back amortization, and we add back taxes. That's EBITDA.
Okay. So that's great. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. So that was very, very clear. Now, if you're a business owner that wants to sell your business, let's say you start out with the objective of building a business to sell, what are the most important things that you need to take into consideration?
Well, in the United States, I can't speak about UK, but in the United States, and I would say it's probably pretty similar. Steve Forbes, who endorsed my book Exit Rich, Steve Forbes says 80% of businesses will never sell. 80. Now, that should be a startling statistics for business owners who are planning to cash out one day because they have less than a 20% chance of actually selling. The biggest thing that business owners need to do is to plan their exit. Not during a catastrophic event. Most business owners don't think about selling until an internal or external catastrophic event has occurred. Internal is health issues, partner disputes, divorce, death. External is this pandemic that's all around the world for the last year and a half. The worst time to sell your business, Jane, is during a catastrophic event. So you want to plan from the beginning. So in Exit Rich, we walk our clients and our readers through the GPS exit model to help them plan their exit from the beginning. So that's step one. Step two, you need to go through that exit model. Step two is you need to build a business that somebody actually wants to buy. Most business owners have built a glorified job and wish they go to work it every day versus a business that actually works for them. So most businesses are not sellable because if you take the owner out of the business, there is no business.
Yes.
So you need to build the business on what I call the solid infrastructure of the 6 Ps. When we look at businesses, we want to make sure they're running on all 6 cylinders, all 6 Ps. So that's the second step. Number one, plan your exit. Number two, build the infrastructure.
So, Michelle, would you share with us what these 6 Ps actually are then?
Sure. So number one, the number two reason why businesses are not sellable is because, again, the business owners have a job, not a business. And I'll give you a perfect example. A dentist. We had a dentist that came to us. He's actually related to one of our clients, and he's been in business for 50 years. He has 3 dental hygienists. His dental hygienists are his daughters. So I said, look, I can sell your business, but I can't maximize value because you and your daughters are the business. They have no external employees other than the family. And I said, plus the purchase price will have contingencies like clawbacks and earnouts and seller financing contingent upon you and your family staying for 2 to 3 years. He said, well, we're not staying. I said, well, then, honey, you're not selling. So the first P is people. You don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business. Entrepreneurs, Jane, have this misconception that if they want it done right, they have to do it themselves. Well, entrepreneurs are not good at everything. So they don't need a finger in every single pie. And the bottom line is you'll never grow unless you let go of the control. So you want to make sure you have the right people in the right seats, and you want to ask the who question. Who opens the doors? Who handles customer service, legal, marketing, accounting, manufacturing, logistics, quality control? The clue, Jane, is that you should never be next to the who.
Oh, that's really powerful, Michelle. You should never be next to the who.
I
really like that. I really do.
And we want to build a business that can operate without you. Plus, you gotta focus on your strengths, and you gotta work on the business, not in the business.
Which is something that I actually had another conversation with somebody this afternoon about this. And of course, classic entrepreneurs really struggle to let go and to release control and actually trust other people, because building a business is a bit like having a baby. It's like having a child, and do you find that is a common problem with some of the entrepreneurs that you speak to? That consult with you, Michelle. Just, you've frozen temporarily. Hopefully you'll be back shortly. Michelle, if you refresh, then hopefully you'll be back. There we go.
I'm here.
Got you back. So, we were just talking about releasing control and about how that can be really hard for entrepreneurs. So do you find that you're in a position quite often when entrepreneurs come to you and they say, I want to sell my business, where you actually have to tell them to release that control and hand it over to other people? Or
all the time. But here's a caveat to that. I don't say just release control. What I say is get the right people in the right seats, answer the who question. And most importantly, yes, you need to release control when you have competent people. The key is competent people.
Yes.
The number one problem in every business is people. You need competent people. Yes, you need to let go of the control and empower them to make decisions, but you always inspect what you expect.
Yep.
You trust but verify. So many business owners go one extreme to the other. They're like, okay, control. Okay, take over all of it. And then they never look at anything. And then they wonder why they were embezzled.
Yeah.
So you always got to have checks and balances. You got to have those processes in place. And you got to make sure that you trust but verify, inspect what you expect, and make sure you have competent people. If you have people constantly making mistakes, then you have to go back and look at, do I have the right person in the right seat? Is this person got the core competencies?
Yes.
Or, am I trying to fit a square peg in a round hole? But you want to try to eliminate the mistakes in the business and, have those core competencies.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, because if you can't trust people to do the job that you've given to them, then you are not going to be able to detach and actually focus on.
But you can never trust without also inspecting. That doesn't mean you trust somebody in a position for a year and never check on what they do. We had a business owner that was embezzled 8 different times.
Wow.
He would just handle all the financials over, to the person, the bookkeeper, the CFO, or whoever was handling the financials. And he didn't have any systems. You always got to have your processes, your balance, you got to have checks and balances in place. You got to trust but inspect. You can't just let somebody run wild and never inspect anything. And it's really important as a visionary to also have an integrator, to have that liaison, to have somebody who's integrating the entrepreneur's vision and making sure that's being integrated from department to department. And then making sure you have a liaison who can report back to the owner what's going on in each department.
Yeah, that is so important. So it's really all about having those systems, those processes, those checks and balances in place, so that you have an idea of what is going on in your business at all times without having to get in there and actually meddle.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get it. Now, what is the result of people selling their businesses? I mean, we all know that it's life-changing, but how do you find that entrepreneurs change as a result of that event, that life event?
Well, there's just so many stages. That's a tough question, because it depends on what the entrepreneur is trying to accomplish.
Yes.
A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners are trying to retire. So that next stage would be them retiring. I've had entrepreneurs come to me and say, oh, retirement's great. And I've had other ones say retirement's terrible. So it just really depends. But I will tell you, all entrepreneurs, we always really work with them and take them through what we call the seller sanity check that we talk about in my book, Exit Rich. And we help them plan a beginning strategy, because if they don't plan a beginning strategy of what they're going to do after the sale, then they're never going to close on the sale of the business. They'll find a way to sabotage the deal. So yes, selling your business can be life-changing. We want it to be life-changing in a positive way, where you are exiting rich, not into a negative way, because so many business owners are exiting poor. Most business owners are exiting poor. They're selling for pennies on the dollar, closing their business, or even worse, filing bankruptcy. Now, when you exit poor or closing your doors or filing bankruptcy, that's a very negative impact, and that's going to affect you dramatically. But if you're exiting rich, then that's also going to affect you in a very positive way, because now you can finally sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
And enjoy the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. So it's really up to the entrepreneur if they're going to exit rich or poor. It's up to them if they're going to build a business that a buyer wants to buy on these 6 Ps that we're talking about.
Yes. So your message is really start with the end in mind. Be very clear about your exit strategy when you start a business if you want to exit rich. and make sure that you put everything in place to have those 6 P's so that you can exit profitably, as opposed to exit poor, which is in a distressed situation.
That's correct. That's correct. And build a business and build a valuable asset that someone wants to buy.
Yes.
No, buyers are not going to buy a business that doesn't have any people, that's dependent upon the owners, that doesn't have a management team. Buyers are not going to buy a business, the second P is product, and a product, an industry that's failing.
Yeah.
Buyers are not going to buy a business that doesn't have processes and systems in place. That's the third P. Buyers are not going to buy businesses that don't have the proprietary synergies, like, branding and trademarks, federal trademarks and patents and databases and transferable contracts,
yes,
etc. And then buyers are not going to buy businesses if you have customer concentration. If you have all of your revenue tied up in just a few clients, and if you lose 1 or 2 of those clients, it could be detrimental to your business. Buyers won't buy your business. And most importantly, if you're not profitable, buyers typically don't want your business. Every now and then we can sell businesses that are not profitable if they have that proprietary assets in place, which is the 4th P, proprietary.
Yeah. Wow, there's so much to it, Michelle. It's just such a fascinating subject. So what I'd like to talk about next is this situation of earnouts, because when my business was bought, it was, luckily we exited rich, so we exited well during a time when our buyer was actually on a bit of a spending spree, and so obviously we went through all of the checks and the balances and the due diligence and so on, and we got through to the other side, and we actually had a choice of buyers. So that was
congratulations.
That was a good outcome. It really was. Now, in that situation, we also had an earnout. And the thing that was really tough for us, actually, was because I certainly felt as though we had completely maxed out on that year prior to the sale. And the earnout period and the expectations on our shoulders were, to me, they were unachievable. And part of that came as a result of some changes in the marketplace at that particular time. Do you see that quite often, or do you see most entrepreneurs who do exit and they're in an earnout? Do you see success through the earnout period typically?
Did you get the earnout? Did you end up getting it or not?
Not me, no. I mean, to be honest, I did very well out of the sale. But no, I mean, we couldn't make the target for the earnout.
So earnouts, buyers love earnouts because, they use them for many reasons. Usually it's to bridge the gap, the evaluation gap. So they come up with a price, the sellers have a price in mind, us advisors have a price in mind, and it's usually to bridge that pricing gap. Earnouts are also used, like in a pandemic like this. Let's say that 2020 was your best year ever. And there's a lot of industries that have had their best year ever, and these business owners want to be paid on 2020. Well, that's not happening because a lot of times that's an anomaly. That's not sustainable. So you're not necessarily going to get paid on that upside. However, a lot of buyers will say, okay, well, we're going to look at a 3-year average or 2-year average or 12 months trailing, but we'll look at, this. And we'll give you an earnout based upon a 2020 increase in revenue and EBITDA, but it's going to be based on an earnout and it's going to be calculated this way. So it's really designed to mitigate the buyer's risk on the pricing gap evaluation, especially when the year that they're selling the business or buying the business has an increase in revenue. So earnouts, was your based on gross revenue, gross profits, or EBITDA?
Yeah, I was based on gross profits.
Yeah. So you never want to do an earnout based on EBITDA because everybody knows that you can play with the numbers of the company and make your EBITDA look dramatically different. So you never want to base your earnout on EBITDA. You want to do it on gross revenues or gross profits, like you just said.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't really be based upon 1 year. It should be based upon a 3-year average, in my opinion.
The
only time that buyers base it on a 1 year is when sellers have had a really good 2020 or a really good 2021. And sellers are saying, well, our projections show that this is sustainable and we're going to make these numbers in 2022, 2023, etc., then they'll have an earnout based upon, okay, well, if you meet these targets.
Yes.
We just sold a dental lab that had part of the purchase price as an earnout. I think like $250,000, not a lot. And I have to check back in, but I'm pretty sure that they are getting their earnout. But I will tell you, in most cases, sellers don't see the earnout.
No. Well, certainly in our case, we'd put so much effort into getting the business to the point of sale that we were just exhausted. And as I said, we felt as though we'd really maxed out on all of that effort, and it just wasn't possible really to maintain that same level of profitability.
So it sounds like to me that it might have been, and that's another reason, because you said, well, the year that we sold the business, we maxed out and we had like our best numbers ever. Well, that scares a buyer to hear that you maxed out, because
we didn't say that to them.
I know, but you just said that to me.
Yeah.
So if you feel like as an owner that you maxed out, buyers can whether you saying it or not, buyers are intelligent. The three types of buyers are pretty savvy. They can see if they can see trends, and they can determine if the company's maxed out or not maxed out. And then they're going to issue an earnout based upon that too, because nobody wants to buy a business that's maxed out. But earnouts typically to bridge that gap of evaluation differences.
Yeah. So sometimes there are things that happen in the marketplace, like, for example, who would have foreseen COVID, right? And I think in our particular instance, there were some changes in the marketplace, but somebody's actually asking what an earnout is. So I think rather than me telling them what it is, I think it's probably best for you to explain, Michelle, as the expert.
So an earnout is kind of what we just basically are talking about. An earnout is a mechanism that buyers use to bridge that evaluation gap, or if a company is doing really, really, really well, and a company, because owners always want to be, there's always an evaluation gap because owners want to be paid on the year that they're doing really, really well. Owners don't want to ever be paid on the year that they're doing poorly.
No.
So let's say that 2021 is a great year, a phenomenal year, and you're doing excellent, but the buyer and the owner wants to be paid on that, but the buyer is saying, wait a minute, you've done this for 1 year. We're going to look at a 2 to 3 year average for evaluation. We're okay with helping fund what you feel is going to be sustainable, but we're not going to pay upfront for that. So we'll pay for that based on an earnout, and that can be calculated in a lot of different ways. It can be calculated in a percentage of, they could say, okay, well, if you did $10 million in revenue in 2021, and you typically do around 8 to 9, then if you do 10 million, these next few years, it can be a 1 year thing, it can be a 5 year thing, it's all across the board. Then it can be a percentage that you'll get from each year based upon those targets. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's a very good way of explaining it, Michelle. So back to buying businesses.
And let me say one more thing too. Did you have an advisor representing you?
Did we have who?
An advisor, a mergers and acquisitions advisor?
We did. Yeah, we had a business broker. Yeah, we did.
Well, there's a big difference between a business broker and a mergers and acquisitions advisor. Business brokers typically sell small businesses like coffee shops, pizzerias, things like that. I'm a mergers and acquisitions master intermediary, senior business analyst, and a bunch of other titles behind my name.
Yeah.
Mergers and acquisitions, M&A advisors typically specialize in businesses 10 million and up, middle market, whereas business brokers are typically small businesses. So if you have a larger business, you always want to hire an M&A advisor, never a business broker.
Right.
And also, was that business broker going to take a commission on your earnout?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Well, he didn't, because you didn't get the earnout.
Oh, no. He got a commission on the sale.
On the sale, but not the earnout. Was he going to get a commission on the earnout?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
No.
And that's what I recommend too. I don't take commissions on the earnout because I feel the earnout is exactly what it says, earn out. The sellers have to the sellers really have to be involved to make sure that they get that potential. and get that earnout. So we personally don't take commissions on earnouts.
Yeah. I understand that. Okay. So Michelle, I've noticed there's been a lot of courses springing up here in the UK anyway about how to buy businesses no money down. So I'm assuming that what they're talking about, I haven't taken one of these courses myself because it's not what I do, but I'm assuming that they're really talking about buying distressed businesses, would you say?
Yeah, they're really talking about buying distressed businesses, and there's courses like that in the United States. There's a gentleman that does this in California that I know. There's another gentleman that puts on courses, and I think he actually ended up getting sued and facing charges and everything else because everything he says is not true, and everything he says he's done is not true. So the courses, you got to be very careful on taking these courses because the people who are putting the course organizers making money by the courses, right? They're charging you to come to the course. They're getting paid for that. Most of these people in these courses never ever are able to buy businesses based upon the strategies and techniques that they're teaching. And a lot of time it is for distressed businesses because if a business owner has a great business like you did, are you going to allow the buyer to come in and average the assets to buy your business with no money down?
No.
I mean, and we just had a buyer try to do that not too long ago with our the manufacturing business we have for sale. They wanted to take the receivables to come up with a down payment. And I'm like, no, you're not using my client's receivables to come up with your down payment. Come up with your own down payment.
Yeah.
And so those classes are really designed for the founder to make money. I would ask the course producer, how many businesses have you bought? Give me a list of all of them. Give me references of all the ones that you've bought, because that's not really confidential. I mean, what we do is very difficult to give testimonials because we're selling private companies, not public.
Yeah.
And most buyers and a lot of times sellers are staying on for a period of time.
Yeah.
And buyers and sellers don't want that information out there. But if somebody's putting on a course and I buy businesses with no money down, tell them to show it to you. Show them your deals.
Yeah.
And provide the references of all the businesses that you bought. Because a lot of these people are just looking for ways to make money. It's like buying real estate with no money down. Now, yes, can businesses be purchased with no money down? Absolutely. Jay Abraham is the one who really started that, who's written numerous books and blogs and articles on it. Jay Abraham out of California. But, if you take a good business, the likelihood of you getting that business with no money down or something not. Now, you can take the assets of that business and get a loan on it. Like we have somebody who's looking to buy a transportation company, and they're taking all the equipment, the trucks, and going and refinancing those trucks and paying my owner. So there are things you can do like that, and he's not paying anything down. And that's a pretty good business. But to take this course, you want to make sure that they're, that this person who's teaching this course is the real deal and has actually done this.
Yeah. And always be careful who you take advice from, because it can either be good advice or bad advice.
Well, there's two in America that were doing it, and one is a complete fraud, and the other one's really good. But the other one, I've talked to a lot of their people who went through the course who haven't done anything. Now, a lot of times that's not the course organizer. That's the person taking the course, because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't implement it, then that's on you.
That's true. Well, it's just a fascinating topic. So, Michelle, do you see that there are trends in certain sectors at the moment? Do you think that certain sectors are really thriving, and are you seeing a lot of businesses that are really viable in certain sectors, or would you say it's just every sector across the board there are good and bad businesses?
No, I wouldn't say every sector across the board is good and bad businesses right now. I would say the pandemic has changed things dramatically. But there are a lot of sectors that are having their best year, their best 2 years ever. And one of those sectors is anything home related, swimming pools, residential renovations, swimming pools, renovations, add-on rooms, outdoor kitchens, landscaping, etc. People are spending so much more money in their home right now because they haven't been going to restaurants. They haven't been traveling. They haven't been taking their children, to do all these different activities and go to all these birthday parties. So they have more disposable income. So anything home related, even glass, even doors, windows, furniture companies, etc. That industry has really done very well and skyrocketed. And in education, online educational platforms, online motivational platforms, those have done extremely well too. Online workout courses, any online fitness has done really, really well. Manufacturing has done phenomenal. How manufacturing was dying before, but manufacturing has done phenomenal. Healthcare, staffing, those are all industries that are on the up. Industries that are on the out, but will bounce back, are like hospitality. Restaurants really took a beating. Hotels took a beating. Airlines took a beating. Parks, took a beating. Anything external recreation, movie theaters took a beating. But I think all that's definitely going to bounce back. It's just going to take a little bit more time. The problem right now is not so much those industries not doing well, because they're bouncing back because people want to get out of their house. They want to go out to eat. They want to go to the movie. It's finding staff. It's getting the right people. It's the biggest issue right now because of the employee's mindset. So, either people step up and go to work and appreciate what they have, or business owners are going to look for alternative ways to replace them, such as systems and technology. McDonald's is doing that right now. They're replacing people with technology, and the banks did it years ago. The airports have been doing it. So, but so and then the businesses that really sell are the businesses that have over $1 million in EBITDA. When you have over $1 million in EBITDA, there's a whole new, there's so many more buyers for those type of businesses. I always say there's more buyers for good businesses than there are good businesses to buy.
Yes. Okay. Well, so there are more buyers for good businesses than there are businesses to buy.
Then there are good businesses to buy. Good businesses to buy.
Good businesses.
And that's why 80% of businesses don't sell, because they're not good businesses. And buyers don't want them. So only 20% of the 100% on the market, only 20% are actually good businesses that buyers want to buy.
Yes, and I know that definitely when it came to selling our business, we had several buyers to choose from, and they were working very, very hard to make sure that we were the ones that they chose. And they were throwing a lot of great things at us, like helicopter rides and all sorts of amazing things.
What industry?
Media and entertainment.
Media and entertainment, Media and entertainment's a big industry. And you probably I talked about the 5 types of buyers. So you probably have private equity groups, you probably have strategic / competitors, and you probably have some sophisticated. You probably had those 3 types, right?
Yes. And in the end, we sold to a strategic buyer because they wanted to diversify and increase their footprint in Europe. So it was actually an American company that we sold to, but it was a fun process, interesting process for sure.
We actually have a company in UK right now that we're evaluating, and we'll be selling to probably an American buyer. But that business can be ran anywhere, and that's what's nice about businesses. One thing that the pandemic has changed is the way that we all do business. People can be virtual now. And that really opens up so many opportunities to running businesses without having brick and mortar locations. And it makes them much more sellable because that business can be ran anywhere in the world versus just where that brick and mortar location is located.
Yes. So that's a really important message as well, because a lot of my audience, they have online businesses, and they have transitioned or pivoted online since lockdown and actually started new businesses. So that's very encouraging message to send to them, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, online business, look, why do you think so many businesses are going out of business? It's because of technology. And it's because of lack of innovation and lack of marketing. And, Toys R Us did nothing new in 75 years. Blockbuster did nothing new. And if Blockbuster just innovated and sort of live stream, they would probably still be around today. Same thing with Toys R Us, but innovation is key. I mean, you're either growing or dying. There's no in between. And what's nice about technology is you can practically, solve problems all around the world and operate your business anywhere, and then have lots of buyers attractive to your business no matter where they live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're getting some amazing comments here, Michelle. There's a lot of engagement tonight. So lots of people saying great guest, by the way, Michelle. So you're very popular with the audience.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So buying and selling businesses, is it easy to actually spot a good business to buy? I mean, what should people look for if they are a strategic buyer of a business, for example?
Well, first and foremost, most of the good businesses are going to be engaged with an M&A advisor, an advisory group. So trying to find a good business on your own without contacting an advisor is difficult.
Yeah.
We were just on the phone with a private equity group, and they went through a 90-day due diligence process on trying to buy a food manufacturing business. And the numbers were misrepresented by the owner for about $4 million. So the owner said they were generating $10 million in EBITDA. And when it really went through quality of earnings, they're generating $6 million. And they were not represented by an advisor. So it really benefits you. You're not paying the advisor typically. I mean, if a buyer hires an advisor to go out and find them certain businesses, then yes, you pay that advisor's fee when they bring you that business that you close on. But if we're, have an engagement agreement with the seller, then the seller's paying the fee. But at the end of the day, you're not going to, if you get a good advisor, now there's good ones and bad ones, but if you get a good one, you're not going to have a $4 million misrepresentation.
No.
You're not going to have some of those issues. So you really want to align yourself with a good advisor, because that's where most of the businesses, the good businesses, are going to be engaged with. And you want to make sure that M&A advisor knows what they're doing and properly evaluating that business, not misrepresenting the financials.
Yeah.
Making sure that, there's total transparency, because every deal has the good, the bad, the ugly. Every deal has hair on it, and you want to represent that up front, so there's no surprises during due diligence. And that's very difficult to navigate on your own without an advisory team. The nice thing about an advisory team, too, is depending upon their expertise and how long they've been in the industry, they typically have other teams. Like we have teams of attorneys and CPAs and trust experts that help minimize tax liability, help avoid capital gains, help take that money, invest it so you're making even more money on your money, etc. Because at the end of the day, it's not what we sell the business for, it's what you walk away with.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to say that we had some amazing, tax consultants, and it really does make a huge difference. It's very important to have that infrastructure, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's important on the sell side and the buy side, because this buyer spent a lot of money in due diligence, spent a lot of time when they can be looking at other deals, to find out that this revenue, the EBITDA was misrepresented by $4 million.
And that's going to leave a very bad taste in their mouths. It's going to put them off, really, isn't it? Because, it just implies that that there's some kind of misrepresentation, or there's some dishonesty really there, and nobody wants that going forward, do they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'd just like to do now, Michelle, is just go into a little bit of your history. So how did you actually get to be this incredible expert? Where does your expertise actually come from, and what was your background?
So I've always been an entrepreneur, and that's a big thing that sets me and other brokers, advisors apart, is I actually own businesses.
Yeah.
I've operated businesses, and many of them never have. So they don't have the same level of competencies, or the same level of business acumen, and the same level of being able to, be empathetic with the business owner.
Yeah.
So I've owned many different businesses in different verticals. I did work for a Fortune 500 company for a short period of time, because I'm not, I don't like being an employee. I did work for Xerox. I was started out off in sales, and then very quickly they promoted me to regional vice president over 100 different salespeople. I transitioned out of Xerox, went into franchise sales, franchise development, franchise consulting, and did that for a while, and I had different partnerships with different franchisors. But then I just had so many buyers that kept asking me for existing businesses. And I kept saying, no, that's not what we do. We have franchises. And then I'm like, why am I saying no? I should be saying yes, because I believe in law of attraction. So that's when I transitioned a little over 20 years ago into M&A.
Yeah. And you never looked back since. And you say that you're in the middle of writing 3 books at the moment, Michelle?
No, that's not what No. What I said was I have written 3 books.
You've written 3 books. Okay.
Yeah, and I've written a contributing chapter. So I wrote Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth in 2013.
Yeah.
I wrote another book, How to Grow Wealth Through Acquisitions.
Okay.
I haven't come out with that book yet because we're really focused on, building a sellable and sustainable business. So there's better businesses for buyers to buy.
Yeah.
And then I wrote Exit Rich in 2019, and Exit Rich is in the middle of launch week right now.
That's really exciting. So Exit Rich. So I'm assuming that it's available on Amazon. And can people get it in all 3 formats at the moment?
So it is available on Amazon. Exit Rich is launching right now as we speak. Our launch week is Tuesday through this Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get it on Amazon. You can also get it at exitrichbook.com. Exitrichbook.com is where we have all of the value, the extra value for pre-orders during launch week. At exitrichbook.com for $24.79. We will email you the digital download so you can start reading Exit Rich immediately. We'll ship the hardcover to your doorstep for no additional shipping cost during launch week to anyone that lives inside the United States. Sorry, outside the United States, there's additional shipping cost. And then we will also give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club. There we have video content of doing deep dives and different strategies and techniques I've been teaching for the last 20 years. Plus, most importantly, documents to operate your business, documents to sell your business. So sample employee handbooks, non-compete agreements, sample policy and procedure manuals. To sell your business, we have sample letter of intents. A lot of business owners don't even know what a letter of intent is. So we have sample letter of intents, purchase agreements, due diligence checklists, closing docs. All these documents to operate and sell your business are at Exit Rich Book Club, available for your immediate download and review. Plus, it would literally, Jane, you probably know this already, it would cost you probably over $50,000 if you try to recreate all these documents.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're also giving a 30-day free membership in the Club CEOs. And Club CEOs is an entrepreneurship mastermind where we help business owners pivot so they can build that sustainable, scalable, and when they're ready, sellable business so they can exit rich. All of that is for $24.79 at exitrichbook.com.
Wow. So that is amazing. And we will definitely be putting that in the show notes, and we'll also put it in the group today. So yes, wow, this is amazing. I'm such a beginner, but this is so pertinent. Okay, we're getting, Michelle looks like a movie star. Okay, great. Some amazing comments that are coming through. Okay, so Michelle, this is an amazing offer. It really is. So people need to go, say where they need to go again in order to get the book and all of those incredible bonuses.
That's exitrichbook.com. Exitrichbook.com.
Okay, that's great. So if you're interested in buying a business, selling your business, preparing for an exit, go to exitrich.com.
Exitrichbook.com.
Exitrichbook.com, and you will get all of those amazing bonuses as well from Michelle. So Michelle, I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experience with us tonight. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast, and we will really look forward to getting your book. And I'm sure that you've acquired some new followers and some new fans as a result of this evening. So thank you so much. And I'll look forward to seeing you again soon, I hope.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being with you. I love your stage. I love your background.
Oh,
so
thank
beautiful.
you. Yeah, my new neon logo. Yeah, I wanted to kind of create a fun, sort of nightclub vibe,
Well, you did it. You knocked it out of the park.
Thank you so much. All I need now is to do the podcast with a cocktail in my hand, and I think it would be complete. Yeah, that's right. I'll have to get some kind of a strawberry daiquiri or something to go with the theme. Yep. All right then, Michelle. Thank you so much again, and see you again. Bye.
A cosmopolitan would do good.
A cosmopolitan, right? Okay. We'll have to put the cocktail umbrella as well. Okay. Bye for now.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.